Hello and welcome to episode 5, The Dumpire Strikes Back.
All right, we're going to go ahead and get things started today. We're going to start off with a little segment I like to call Shock and or where we will share what shocked and or made us go during the NFL draft. Matt, go ahead and start us off.
Yeah, for me, it was definitely the Tennessee Titans draft room right there in the first round between the guy in the tights and the dude apparently sitting on the toilet in the reflection to the left. Just that whole room in general was quite shocking.
I like it. Sean, what about you? What shocked and or made you go during the NFL draft?
Yeah, it's actually more of a it couldn't be more perfect than seeing Bill Belichick's draft room. So you see, Cliff Kingsbury looking like he's flexing on everyone. Jerry Jones going from $1 billion yacht, and Bill Belichick has his dog sitting in a chair, basically made his pick for him. And then you see his kitchen with the checkerboard design.
Oh, the checkerboard field
gives a treat to the dog. I don't know if I've never been more not surprised by something that the Patriots have done than having a dog do their selection of Bill Belichick with no emotion, giving a dog a treat, and then walking out of frame. It was perfect.
Absolutely. I totally agree. T, what about you? What shocked and or made you go,
Absolutely shocking. I was shocked that Jerry Jeudy fell all the way to number 15 and is going to Denver. That's a realistic take. And then when it comes to the moment, I don't know who the dummy was that was wearing a mask in a room by himself. I can't remember what GM that was, but I was really mad at him for a few minutes, and then I just kind of felt bad. So I was like, he's all by himself, and he appeared to be in an attic of some sort and had some boxes. So I was assuming that he hadn't moved in, which I've been there, so kind of felt bad for him.
I am 99% positive you were talking about Gettleman, the GM for the.
Oh yeah,
it was
dude
Gettleman.
Wearing the mask while he was in the room by himself. That was great.
Yeah. Apparently they had some staffer over at his house that brought over files. And I'm pretty sure Gettleman does not realize that computer that he had on his desk is capable of holding all of the information in those paper files he had sitting. I'm pretty sure he does not realize that it's redundant.
Yeah.
Yeah, so for me, the big thing that made me go was when the Miami Dolphins picked Tua Tagovailoa, and immediately Brian Flores' kids were like, oh my gosh, can we talk to Tua? That's the kind of relationship you want. When you got star power like that, where the coach's kids want to talk to you before you even set foot on the field, that's what I'm talking about. That made me go, right there in my living room.
Just as an honorable mention, because I don't know if it was confirmed or not, but did Gruden have a whiteboard with his whole draft board on it? Did anybody else see that?
I saw it. I don't know if that was confirmed. That's what I was thinking when I laid eyes on it. I kind of want to just believe it was the Jimmy John's menu or everybody's orders who were there at the draft that night, but I wouldn't put it past the Raiders to have something going on like that.
Yeah, I could definitely see something like that happen. When I worked for the Utah Jazz, I actually got to see their war room or something similar to it down in the dungeon of the Energy Solutions Arena once. Cool.
What did it look like?
A conference room table with a whiteboard and a bunch of names written on it.
Sounds kind of lame.
I don't care if it's Energy Solutions or Vivint. That place will always be the Delta Center as long as I live.
Oh yeah, sorry.
Delta Center, or get out of here.
All right, our next segment today is called Biased by Us. We give you our most optimistic, pessimistic, or realistic take on our team's draft and share that raw emotion with you, minus the expletives. T, why don't you go ahead and let us know how you feel about the Raiders draft?
I took some time to go ahead and think it over. I think I was pretty emotional when it went down when I was watching it live. I made the comments to a buddy of mine as I was watching the draft. Hold on, don't say anything else. I have to get on NFLshop.com and get my Jerry Jeudy jersey. And I was just sitting there, oh man, I can't wait to see how many touchdowns this guy is going to go for. And then I end up with Henry Ruggs, who was probably only picked because he's the fastest guy, at the combine. It is what it is, though. I think that after thinking it over, I'm not going to pretend to know more about football than, John Gruden, who has spent a whole bunch of time with, players that have come through the combine, or Mike Mayock, who probably evaluated every single person in the draft while he was working for NFL Network or whatever it was before he was the GM. I think that now they have Ruggs, who will probably come in, will be a pretty productive X receiver. And now they could, run a little bit different formations. Now it won't have to be power running every single play of the game. I'm excited to see what happens. I'm just really, really excited because now we'll get to see what Derek Carr really can do. I think that he should have a pretty productive year like in 2015 or 2016. And hopefully we'll do enough that he could stick around. I think that everybody's kind of given up on him at this point. I still think that he's, a pretty top-notch quarterback when he has weapons around him, and he should be fine. So I'm excited to see what they do, and hopefully the season takes place so that I can go see him in Vegas, 6 or 7 times.
Hopefully you get that down payment back if you don't.
Yeah, exactly.
That'd be tough.
How about you, Sean? How are you feeling about the Dallas Cowboys and their draft?
It'll be unique because this is the first year without having the clapper making selections and being in that room. And say what you will, and I will say a lot about his very archaic style of coaching, because for a lot of years he could get away with having a better offensive line. He could basically tell you he's running off tackle and you couldn't stop it. But you need to be able to give your players advantage based on your scheme and some of the things that you do. Every now and again, make the job easier for your players. But grabbing CD Lamb, falling to 17, I think that's a decent pickup for him. Another wide receiver that they can have. And then they go pretty defensive heavy with Trevon Diggs, Neville Gallimore, and Reggie Robinson from Tulsa. I like that they got the guy from Wisconsin. And then obviously with Bradley and another defensive edge rusher. And he's maybe not as quick as some of the other guys you get, but Dallas is known for having, on their defense right now that I could think of off the top of my head without looking at it, 3 or 4 mid-major guys and a couple of them from Boise State, including Leighton Vander Esch. So they like themselves. Granted, Utah's not a mid-major, but they like themselves some guys that show heart and hustle. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. Just because it's the first year with a new regime doing the draft. Having CeeDee Lamb fall so far to them was really cool. And then seeing that they were realizing that, hey, you know what? Grabbing 2 cornerbacks after losing Byron Jones to the Miami Dolphins to try and pick up some slack. We'll see what happens. But I don't think the Cowboys were that far off, especially considering they basically gift wrapped the NFC East last year. But we'll see. I'm always very pessimistic with optimism before a season starts. You guys know how I am with my whole 4-game rule thing. So when it comes to this, I think they did really well. I feel good about it as far as with what you're given. You have a board that has these, hypothetical scenarios that could happen, and I think the majority of the time they hit on them, at least as far as what we see on paper. So if we're looking solely at paper, they did a good job, and we'll see how that translates in the season.
Nice. So just a shot out of the cannon, I got the Dallas over-under wins this upcoming year at 8.5. Based on everything you just said and just how you're feeling right now, somebody puts a gun to your head right now, says you got to make a bet over-under on 8.5. What do you do?
I like them beating the Giants twice. I like them getting Washington once. And they could get them twice, but just because it's one of those weird games that it's a division game, something's going to happen. And I see even if they split with Philly, you're still looking at 4 or 5 wins right there. And I don't know what their schedule looks like, but they're going to have a number 2 schedule. And I don't know who the East plays this year. So they played the AFC East last year. So I'm confident that they don't have to go through a really improved AFC East. Mm-hmm. And I don't know who their NFC counterparts are this year. But just looking in the division alone, you split with Philly, you split with Washington for whatever reason, because it just ends up happening. They absolutely should not lose to the Giants twice. If 8.5's it to go 9 wins, and considering the worst year that Dak Prescott's had is 9-7, I like it. I take it.
Nice.
Looks like they got the AFC North.
Again, you got some. You have a lot of uncertainty in the North, kind of. With the Bengals. So the Bengals falling down to the number 1 overall pick. I have no idea when they play the Bengals. If it's early on, I like that game. If it's really, really early, I want that action.
Week 1.
Ooh, yeah. See, so I like a week 2 better or week 3 because that's a lot of preparation time for that. And Burrow wants to show out against America's team. I understand that one. But But yeah, it's I'd still take the over.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest. As an Eagles fan watching Dallas steal every pick, I was dreaming of them getting, a couple picks later. It was a little frustrating, especially given the fact that despite all of the criticism for how Dallas handles their roster, they do an incredible job drafting people. They overpay them later on, but they find value in rounds that other teams just don't. And so
Right. And that's kind of why I made the comment of it's the first one without the clapper, because again, as a coach, there's much to be desired. As a decision maker with clock management, there's much to be desired a lot of times. And obviously from our position with armchair quarterbacking, whatever, yeah, they have since like 2010 done very, very well with the draft in the later rounds. And most of their guys that they've drafted are still in the NFL today. So we'll see what happens.
all right, Matt, why don't you tell us what you think about Miami and how they made out in the draft?
All right, so here's the thing. You guys missed a key word here. The key word there is bias. And as a Miami Dolphins fan, it is up to me to be absolutely top-notch optimistic. So we're going to go a little crazy because Charles said biased, not necessarily realistic. So, number one, Tua is going to be the best quarterback out of this draft. No question.
Whoa,
That's going to happen.
Whoa.
Number two, Miami will have an elite secondary, whether it's this year or the next year, based off of who they got and who they already have. So they have Byron Jones from the Cowboys. They have Xavier Howard already, who's already a top-notch cornerback. They drafted my new best friend, whose name is a little tough for some, but that's okay because we can pronounce it here. His name is Noah Igbenogany. I got it. It's Igbenogany. Noah Igbenogany. So between all of them, they will have an elite secondary. Now, I'm not saying they're going to make the playoffs or do anything spectacular this season, but I see progress. They did exactly what I wanted them to do. They didn't make any stupid trades. They used all of their draft picks for what they needed, which was offensive line help, a quarterback, obviously, and then plug in some holes from there. So I am extremely optimistic on the potential that this draft class has for Miami. And I'm just going to leave it at that.
So I was about to throw a challenge flag on your Tua comment, but I realized that I already used my challenge flag a couple of weeks ago with Simone Biles. So
I don't think we've explained the challenge flag.
Yeah, so the challenge flag for all of you listeners, if anybody makes some sort of claim, some sort of statement, no matter what it is, it could be, correct as all get out. There could be a total consensus, but if somebody throws a challenge flag, the person who throws the challenge flag gets to state whatever their opinion is, and that is the correct claim moving forward. So I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Charles made the claim that Simone Biles is the greatest athlete of all time. And I threw a challenge flag. And just for the sake of challenging, just because I can't remember the list that I proposed, I'm going to go ahead and say Muhammad Ali is the greatest athlete of all. So because I threw a challenge flag, I am right until we take a vote on what I believe it was the first Tuesday after the second Monday of the following month. So as of right now, I'm correct. Muhammad Ali is the greatest athlete of all time. The only way to get it overturned other than the vote is to be able to make comments and, have some sort of agreement. And if the person who threw the challenge flag laughs, then the challenge is overturned and we get back to business. But so far, nobody's had anything to say. So Muhammad Ali is still the greatest athlete of all time.
I back Charles on this one. I'm just waiting for vote 2.
And I just want to let our audience know, if you'd like to chime in on this, you can go ahead and comment on any of our YouTube videos or reach out to us on Twitter. Let us know who you think the greatest athlete of all time is, and let us, join the conversation a little bit. As far as my opinion on the Eagles draft, I think the Eagles did some weird stuff. I don't think anybody was expecting them to take the receiver out of TCU. I definitely don't think anybody was expecting them to go with Jalen Hurts in the second round. But I like it. Carson Wentz has been hurt on short yardage plays. I think 2 out of the last 3 times he's been injured. Actually, it's been 3 out of 3. So the last 3 years on short yardage is where he got hurt. And I think
you mean yardage plays? Sorry.
What?
Carson Wentz has been hurt on yardage plays?
Short yardage.
Just general.
Wait, what?
I swear he's getting hurt all the time.
I like the Rams play was going for 2, I think. No, it was the touchdown where he got hurt, and then he threw then he threw the touchdown for 2 points after. But yeah, it was like on 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2, something like that. He scrambled and got it in. Then when he hurt his back, it was on a quarterback sneak, I want to say. And
That's
then
fair.
last year against Seattle, it was the same thing, just a short yardage rollout, and then he got the hit to the head from Clowney on the right side. So I think really, if you can put Jalen Hurts into the short yardage situations, you'll be able to preserve Wentz. That's also how Patrick Mahomes got hurt, was on short yardage. So those short yardage plays where it kind of seems like a gimme, that's where a lot of the best quarterbacks are getting hurt right now. So anyway, I feel pretty good about what the Eagles did. I don't think they did anything to make them the overwhelming favorites to win anything. I think they didn't address their needs on the offensive line as well as I would have hoped they would, since they lost 2 really good tackles. But I'm okay with it. I don't really have much opinions on the draft right afterwards. I'm usually pretty neutral until I see how things work out. But talking about the draft, none of us are Packers fans, but we all have connections to Utah State one way or another. And so let's just go ahead and talk about it. Packers go out. They make Aaron Rodgers upset. So let's talk about the good, the bad, the ugly with Aaron Rodgers and Jordan Love. What do you guys think? What is your first reactions, opinions, etc.? Sean, what do you think?
I'll take a good because I think I'm the only one of this group that actually went to Utah State. That is my home away from home is Logan, Utah. I love me some Utah State.
Actually, you'd be surprised to know that I have gone through a full college degree at Utah State.
Really?
Yeah, I was born while my parents were at Utah State, and she took me to every class. Therefore, by default, I've graduated.
I just muted Matt, so go ahead and keep going.
Well, yeah, I've seen Jordan Love play in person when he had Matt Wells as a coach, and when he just had Gary Anderson on the comeback. And when Gary Anderson first came, 2009 season, that's an all-defensive team. They ran things differently when Matt Wells was still the offensive coordinator. Matt LaFleur likes to run a spread offense. And basically, with this pick, he's gambling on the fact that he's going to be the Packers coach for a while. Because you've ticked off Aaron Rodgers by not giving him any weapons, really. And you drafted a guy that could have been one of the top 10 picks of this year's draft, and he fell to 26th, or in the late 20s, rather. But yeah, as far as Jordan Love's concerned, the good for it is because he has physical talent. The guy's got a cannon for an arm. He can make throws on time. When given direction and told where his reads are going to be, he makes quick decisions, and he usually finds guys up the seam. At least that was what we saw his year prior to this one. But yeah, if Matt LaFleur is the coach, that's what that is. That's a straight system coach, system quarterback marriage. Spread offense. Look at your armband. Look at like a bunch of signs with ducks and Sesame Street characters. Translate that into a play, and then he just plays backyard ball. The good of that is that's all that is you're basically gambling on the fact that you will be the coach for a while, and Jordan Love will get the chance to play. That's what that comes down to, and that's the only way I can see it is you're betting the house that Aaron Rodgers will move on at some point in time, and when he does, I'll still be the coach. So that's what that looked like to me.
Matt, what do you think? What's your opinion on it?
Oh, am I allowed to talk again? Okay, so this is how I feel. I mean, I don't know if you'd call this a hot take or not, but I would say I think Jordan Love will start an NFL game before Jalen Hurts does. I actually like Jordan Love a lot, and I think it can really only go one of 2 ways. It's either going to be an exact repeat of Brett Favre, to where Rodgers is going to leave and Love's going to come in and be great, or it's going to just crash and burn, to where Rodgers is going to say, yeah, you guys want to do that to me? Well, hashtag sorry, Charles, I'm going to go over to the Patriots and win some Super Bowls with Bill Belichick. And then Jordan Love is just going to crash and burn because he's going to get thrown in too early. I think it's going to go extreme either direction.
All right, T, what are you thinking? What's the good, bad, or ugly with this A-Rod and J-Lo situation in Green Bay?
I'm going to – wait, what? I'm going to go ugly here. I think that I've said a few times, I absolutely hate Utah State. Everything about it, anything that's come out of Utah State, I'm not going to sit and pretend that Bobby Wagner isn't an absolute monster, and I would never say that in front of him. Let's just be clear right now. But I just think that this shows that there's just no accountability in the Packers organization whatsoever. You can't go to however many people own the Packers and ask them to, do something about this horrible draft pick. I really hope that Love does do well, though. I'm rooting for him just because I hate Aaron Rodgers. I think he's a crybaby and he's just an overall terrible person. But I think that if you're working in the Packers organization, you have the quarterback who gets every freaking call. This guy gets looked at, breathed on, penalty flag, goes shooting in the air. I think if you put some sort of talent, outside of Devontae Adams, who they're lucky to have, by the way, if you put some sort of talent in that receiving court and Aaron Rodgers just throws it in their general direction, they get every call. Just give yourself a better chance. They had a pretty decent season. Were they in the NFC Championship last year? Got wrecked by San Francisco. Go 13-3. That's 2 extra wins you could add if you have any sort of talent on that receiving core. I hate the other guys, but I just think it was a dumb pick. They should have taken some other receiver, some other playmaker. But I am rooting for Lev. I think that I was kind of thinking that Gruden was going to go with his original plan that it feels like he's been hinting at for a couple of years. And I thought the Raiders were going to draft Love, so I was kind of just prepping myself for that, trying to be a little excited about it. But I think overall, just kind of a dumb move. I don't have a lot of hope for them. I think Aaron Rodgers is already on the decline. I haven't seen him have a top 5, top 10 QB year in the last 3 years. So now that I talk about it more, I'm kind of siding with Matt. Maybe he does start like an actual game, like as a actual QB before Hurts, but I don't know. We'll see.
I actually think Jordan Love and Jalen Hurts are going to fill kind of similar roles. I think Aaron Rodgers has had some health issues the past few years. I think they have not been able to rely on backups at all, and that's part of the reason why they went ahead and invested in a backup quarterback in the first round, somebody who can be there, back Aaron Rodgers up for a few years, and then potentially take over. However, that being said, the opportunity cost, right? What they missed by going with the quarterback in the first round in a draft with a ton of wide receivers and wide receiver talent is really what hurt Green Bay. I don't think it's going to hurt them to have Jordan Love there in any way, but I think not having some of those receivers is what's going to hurt them.
I just can't believe they went a running back in the second over a receiver. Like, that made no sense to me.
Yeah, it was definitely wild. I don't think anybody had that going in their mock drafts that Green Bay was going to go quarterback, running back.
2 of their arguably strongest positions currently.
Yeah. All right. This week, dozens of young men got drafted into the NFL and will soon see their bank account pop in a way that hasn't happened since they got their first check from the SEC boosters. I'm going to read somebody's name, and based solely on their name, how are they most likely to spend that new cash? Let's start with Jeremy Chin.
Plastic surgery.
Plastic surgery. All right, Sean, what are you saying?
On the face.
Jeremy Chin, how's he going to spend his first check?
I'm going to go with he's going to legally change his name to Jeremy Lin so he can get some kind of recognition in his life.
Oh.
Wow. So he's going to spend money on a court order.
Court-ordered name change.
All right. Sean, what are you thinking?
Yeah, Jeremy Chin sounds like somebody that's going to invest part of his check. He's going to end up getting like IUL or something, and he's going to roll a large majority of it. He's going to go Jim Harbaugh style. He's going to wait for the back end of it, gamble on himself that he's going to get a second contract and start living off that one, or go Ryan Broyles, who there was an article on that guy. Basically living off $60,000 a year, and then start his own real estate investment company. And that's what that guy sounds to me. What he would do is Jeremy Chin is going to be saving his money. The only thing like if his name was like Wazowski would be the only other guy I think that would be looking to save that money. So hate on me, Karen.
All right. Who else has a name they want to throw out?
Let's go with Trevor Diggs.
Isn't that Trayvon Diggs, do you mean?
Trevor?
Oh, it is Trayvon for sure. Trayvon Diggs.
Oh, that's my bad.
Yeah.
That dude's he's starting a side hustle, landscaping business. That's what I'm
I
going with.
knew you were going to say that for some reason.
I was gonna go into oil exploration, like digging some wells.
Didn't he go to Dallas?
He did. Yes, he did.
Okay, there you go. That makes sense. Done and done.
Yep. Anybody else have a name they want to throw out?
And what's your one boy from Miami? The mahogany guy. No.
Yeah, that would be Noah Igbenogany.
There you go.
I have no clue what he's gonna do. No idea.
What about the dude from Utah, Zach Moss?
Zach Moss. Gentleman's Club, probably. Or Buffalo Wings, I guess.
Well, can somebody confirm, was Zach Moss from Florida? They're known to be well known for those type of establishments.
Like, is he originally from there?
Yes,
I believe so. Isn't he part of the Killer Trio?
I think he was.
He is from, Florida for sure.
Yep, there you go. I think that's a safe call.
Of course, he made communications.
All right. What about Tristan Wirfs? See, I'm gonna go with he's gonna try to compete with Nerf and create a whole new line of children's guns.
Children's guns. It's a very specific type of gun.
Toy guns, children's guns, same thing.
I think that's like perfect. You sound like someone on CNN that's like this. Children's guns.
Wait, did I just make it on Dateline?
Yep, can't have an assault-style children's gun anymore. And
oh man, he seems like the kind of dude that would actually invest in some sort of like Southern bread company, though, like Southern Hostess. I don't know. We'll talk more about it later.
I really hope he's not out there investing in, research development around children's guns, though. Like, this is something that needs to come to market ASAP. They're like guns, but for children.
All right,
guns.
just because I was so focused on saying Igbenogany correctly, he is definitely going to start up one of those online classes on pronunciation.
That makes sense. That's fair.
I actually agree with that. That sounds like it would make sense. How about Chase Claypool? What do you guys think somebody named Chase Claypool?
Clay tennis courts.
That makes sense.
I know you guys. See, you thought I was going to go pools there, but I went with clay.
How about with clay pools?
Nice.
Like billiards, but like clay balls.
Clay balls, clay pools.
Is he Canadian?
I don't know if you have seen those videos on YouTube, but they're like people digging holes and building huts out of, clay bricks and stuff like that. I could see him starting one of those channels. Let's call it Clay Pools.
I could see him starting. I have a pretty good idea for a book and or movie, actually, now that I think about it, not that you said that. But like some sort of like juvenile correctional camp where kids are forced to like dig holes all day. And once they dig one hole, then they can come back. Something like that. That sounds like something he would do.
Yep. I also think he'd probably be one of those guys that makes one of those direct to like DVD B movies. And it's like about a guy who breaks the fourth wall and like goes and, dresses in red and has two swords and calls himself Claypool. That sounds like something that he would invest in too.
I like it. All right, so we're going to go ahead and move on. T, you had a special segment you wanted to introduce today. Why don't you go ahead and let us know what's going down?
I do. It's kind of a weird segment. I was thinking about this the other day because I was watching a classic 90s movie, which there's a bunch of those on Netflix right now. But I want to talk about characters from either a book or a movie who aren't considered superheroes, who actually should be considered superheroes, and then who we believe their NFL counterparts are. So an example of this, and I have some good ones for you guys that I'll just shout out here. First example that I have, not a superhero, should be a superhero, Frankenstein. Boom, right out of the gate. Okay, he transcends time. He's one of the greatest of all time. Really, really good backstory to him. He's got a personality. Kind of a weirdo though. If you've ever read the story, it's a great book and should be a superhero. Frankenstein definitely, well, Frankenstein's monster, I guess I should say, for all the English nerds out there. And his counterpart would definitely be Big Ben. Big, dumb, lumbering, burning down villages. Kind of an all-time great that we don't really talk about because of certain, things that he's gotten into. But just an example to get us rolling. The next character, which I'll throw this out to Sean to get us started. So next example, the Terminator. Who is counterpart for the Terminator? Who the Terminator should be a superhero.
Ooh. And that's a good one because many of my friends know that that's one of my all-time favorite movies.
Same.
And I wasn't prepared for that one. I actually was looking to go with Dorian Gray and Tom Brady. That was actually where I was going.
I'll take that.
So I'm going to veer off the Terminator one, but when people are going, I might circle back to it. But Dorian Gray, for people who don't know, he stays young forever, but his real age is hidden in a painting. And
is that the person from Grey's Anatomy?
Negative.
Okay.
That's the guy I'm thinking of. Yeah. But that's who I would think. And for those who need a more recent remembering of who Dorian Gray is, League of Extraordinary Gentlemen with Sean Connery, that movie, played by Stuart Townsend, that's Dorian Gray. And I put that on Tom Brady because I've seen videos. I mean, obviously we've all seen him with his whole standing there, looking shirtless on when he was drafted. But the dude looks younger than he did when he's holding the Super Bowl trophy when they beat the Rams.
That is true.
Jawline is way more defined. He actually looks like he moves better at his more advanced age. So he's you could go Benjamin Button, but we're talking people that should be superheroes or maybe anti-heroes, and Dorian Gray fits that category. And if we're talking anti-heroes and people that you don't really want to cheer for in that regard, that's definitely Tom Brady too. Can't deny him, but I'm done cheering for the guy. Tom Brady and Dorian Gray.
That was perfect. That was way better than the Terminator example that I was hoping for. If I had to go Terminator, though, I'm going to go Frank Gore. That guy is an absolute monster. Maybe he's not one of the greatest action movies or action heroes of all time. I definitely don't think – I'm going to go out on a limb and say Frank Gore is not a Hall of Famer. I think that he has primarily been just a compiler like the Terminator series. Like he just keeps coming and just won't go away. That's fine. Like there's a whole bunch of movies, a whole bunch of yards from Frank Gore. Definitely not a Hall of Famer, but should be a superhero for sure. The next one, Matt, do you have any character examples off the top of your head? And if not, I have one locked and loaded for you.
Give me one.
Dustin from Stranger Things.
Oh, boy. He's a superhero?
I think so.
Dustin
Didn't go with
from
11.
Stranger
You went
Things.
with Dustin. 11 actually has powers. And you went with Dustin?
She is a superhero, though. She's crazy.
But is she, see, it's kind of some gray area thing. Dustin from Stranger Things. All right. We're going to go with Ezekiel Elliott. Strictly off of looks. Strictly off of look. He's got the hair.
Wait a second. Wait. Do you know who Dustin from Stranger Things is?
Yes, I just Googled it.
Why did you say Ezekiel Elliott?
Because look at his smile. He's got.
This is bad podcasting. Have the silence.
Okay,
for
to be fair, I haven't seen Stranger Things, so that was terrible.
All right.
We've been on quarantine for almost 2 months, and you haven't seen a singular.
I have not seen Stranger Things. I have not.
Gosh.
I've been too caught up in Ozark.
Real tears are coming from my eyes right now. Oh man. I'll take Ezekiel Elliott. I was hoping for like a Christian McCaffrey, kind of just like a little guy that's doing things and such, but Ezekiel is cool as well. Charles, do you have any examples off the top of your head?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Inspector Gadget. I don't know if he counts as a superhero, but I think I'd put him right there. And I would actually go with Christian McCaffrey as Inspector Gadget just because he's like a 50-tool player, does a little bit of everything. And, yeah, that's why I would go with him.
Nice. All right, last one, and this is just for anybody who wants to answer. I'll take whatever the first answer is. Apollo Creed from the Rocky movies.
Wait, so you're making Apollo Creed, not Rocky, the superhero?
Yes.
So now
Okay.
part of that though is with Apollo. Maybe I could stoke this for you guys too, because Apollo was the champ. Like that's the guy. So we're talking Rocky 1 and 2. That is the heavyweight champion of the world. We're talking front runner. We're talking the man, and then obviously you go Rocky 4 with him coming out with James Brown, and all looking like a jacked up freaking Uncle Sam. That's the Apollo Creed we're talking about.
Yes.
Hmm.
Cam Newton.
I actually like the Cam Newton one a lot because eventually by the end of the series he goes away and dies. So
that makes sense.
That's fair. That's fair.
The confidence and the smile went away real quickly when Drago decided to put him down and Rocky didn't throw in the towel. So, that was my biggest thing when they played in Super Bowl 50 was if you got to Newton early and you stopped letting him dance and smile, you'd have a chance because that guy, as big and as strong as he is, it's here for him. And if he's not feeling it, it ain't nothing getting done. He's way too emotional in that regard. But I would say Cam Newton being Apollo Creed, being the front runner, the number 1 overall pick, the Heisman Trophy winner, I like it.
Nice. All righty. Well, we're going to go ahead and take a quick commercial break. This is brought to you by a very special product that has a very special place in my heart. Introducing a whole new kind of soft drink with real fruit juice, 10% of your daily calcium, and only 10 calories in every 8-ounce serving. Tastes so good you could feel it in your bones. For great taste with calcium, the only way to go is 7-Up with calcium. Charles, back to you.
All right, we're going to go ahead and move on to some dumb sports news. Quick little disclaimer. Once again, all of these products bring us to you each week, but they do not pay us for it. So do not think that we're getting paid for this. I'm pretty sure you can tell by the quality. We are not making any money. All right, so CeeDee Lamb famously snatched his cell phone away from his girlfriend during the NFL draft coverage. What is the funniest thing that he might have been hiding from her on that phone? Matt, go ahead and get us started.
That was 100% his side phone. That was his hustle phone. It's like a burner. That had all of his women in it, and you didn't want her to see it.
I'm going to go with his Tinder or his Bumble profile because now that he's about to be making that cash out in Dallas, like he was probably swiping right or left, however that app works, on some of the Dallas area ladies. So that's my guess.
Nice cover there where you're like, I don't know how it works. Could be left, could be right.
What's
My
that
wife
called
listens to
again?
this podcast.
I'm with you guys. The only thing I was thinking is maybe he was still playing Angry Birds and he was just embarrassed to let anybody know that game still even exists on his cell phone.
Clash of Clans.
Yeah, Clash of Clans, little Pokemon Go, something like that. All right, we'll go ahead and move on. So an unfortunate angle made it look like Mike Vrabel's son was on the toilet in the background every time his family was on camera. What is the worst place you have ever dropped a deuce that you can remember? Sean, why don't you get us started?
Easy. And I wish if he ever hears this guy knows exactly the story I'm getting ready to tell because we were walking from Riverdale Road. Now, this is before I was an adult. This is really before I had a paying job over $10 an hour. So we were walking around Riverdale and I was like, dude, my belly, it's starting to hurt. And I could feel it coming. Like it's building. It's one of those stomach gurgling and like you have to stop what you're doing, like take deep breaths, think about your life for a second, and then it passes and you're totally fine to move. But then when it comes back, it gets you and grips you like Scorpion from Mortal Kombat and says, get over here. And you're like, stop. You're totally frozen. So we were by Ruby River. And if for those of you in Utah who know where Ruby River is, I had to make my way into Ruby River and then proceed to completely and utterly dominate their restroom. And then the worst part about it was I couldn't even dispose of the evidence because their flusher wasn't working. And it was an automatic. I thought, oh, the button will work. It didn't. And you guys know I've been a rather fit individual for a while. So lots of protein shakes, lots of, and also a lot of like caffeine. So, I mean, you got just this whole concoction of stuff that just won't be good. And I was like, oh no, man, I ain't going to make it. This is going to be bad. This is going to be terrible. So not only was I not a paying customer, but I basically, I mean, it's the equivalent of an upper decker at a party. Like I just left it just completely, destroyed the restaurant, and you could smell it out in the lobby like it was that bad. And that happened to be among one of the better nights with that guy. And if he ever hears it, he knows this exactly, because anytime there's anything brought up, he'll tag me from that night we walked together. So shout out Chase, which people don't call him that. So we'll see if that gets, it's kind of like a Doug situation with one of our buddies. So we'll see if he ever hears it, he'll know who I'm talking about.
See,
Nice.
Yep.
My story is very similar, but it was far more recent. So for those that don't know, I have a job as a food delivery driver. So I deliver to restaurants quite regularly. And when you're out and about in a truck all day, sometimes you just gotta go. And I was delivering to a specific place in mid-central to southern Utah area. Don't remember what it's called, but it was of the Asian descent. And let's just say nobody in that restaurant spoke any English at all. So I made my delivery and I decided I needed to do my business. Well, there was nobody else in the restaurant except for the workers there. Did my thing. Well, the toilet would not flush and there was no plunger available. And I didn't know how to ask for a plunger. So I just left. I just hopped in my truck and got out of it.
Yep. That's the worst, because you feel bad, like, you're just in that situation where you're stuck between a rock and a hard place. And every red-blooded American knows that feeling of, oh my gosh, I can't move, to, okay, it's subsided. I've got like total movement, and then it hits you again and you're in trouble. Like, you have no choice. And you really feel bad when you can't dispose of it, because you already feel bad that you had to do it there anyway. Matt, that's terrible. I'm sorry, man.
I mean, I just got out of there. I didn't want to try to use Google Translate to ask for a plunger. I thought just leaving was the best option.
So my worst experience was when I was down in Mexico. Not every toilet actually has toilet paper in there. You actually either have to pay ahead of time and get a little bit of toilet paper, or sometimes it's just on the outside of the stalls so people don't waste it. And most people don't flush toilet paper. They have like a little waste basket you put your used toilet paper in. And I didn't know any of this. I'd been in Mexico for all of 3 days, and I went into a stall and got stuck there and was like, ah, crap. I'm going to be stuck here forever because there's no toilet paper in here. Thankfully, my missionary companion, he went and was like, he realized that I was taking a while and was like, hey, man, are you going to need some of this? And asked me some toilet paper over the door. So shout out to Mark. And yeah, that was my worst experience. How about you, T?
I don't think I've ever told this story to any living person. However, one time in college, I was at this pretty sweet house party. It was a create your own superhero party, which is one of my favorite things of all time. I was dressed up as Where's Waldo? So just chilling at this house party at this girl's apartment, and everything was going fine. I was having a good time. Things were going well. And then I just got the urge. So I was standing in line for the restroom, which at any house party is like 12 people long with, just women who are going to powder their nose and whatnot. So she saw me standing there, the owner of the apartment, and she said, oh, like, men aren't actually allowed to use this bathroom. And to myself, I was like, well, that's super sexist, but whatever. So she said, here, you actually have to use this camping stool, and you have to go outside. And I was like, are you joking me right now? Like, is this like really happening? And the nearest gas station was like a block away, which for me might as well be 1,027 kilometers. So I was like, well, I guess I'm going outside. So I go outside. This is serious. I'm not even joking. This is super embarrassing. So I go outside, handle my business. I thought that I was like outside of her. Like, I mean, like she had like a second level apartment, but I was actually like right outside like the ground level. So I ended up just going, and I was walking back into the party holding the stool. And I actually went like in somebody's side yard. And the guy was like, what are you doing with that? And I was like, oh, I just bought this. Like, it was a KSL, which that was the first thing that I thought of. And then I had to walk back inside and pretend that nothing had just happened and that it wasn't the worst night of my life. So there we go. That is a true story.
All right. All right, we'll keep moving. So Tom Hanks sent a typewriter to a fan of his who wrote him because he's been bullied because his name is Corona. What is the worst gift you could imagine a professional athlete sending it to an 8-year-old while still having good intentions? And who would be the one sending it? I'll go ahead and lead you guys off. I could see Rob Gronkowski sending either a year's supply of beer or a 70-pack of condoms to some 8-year-old kid because he doesn't realize that, some things are inappropriate for children.
That's fair.
I could definitely see that happening.
I could see him throwing a old, because he just recently, his last contract was actually with WWE, not with, the NFL. He was retired. So since there's no Buccaneers jersey yet, I could see him also throwing a D-Generation X 69 jersey their way.
Nice.
Just because, that's one of those things that also, not only does it say 69 on it, but it says suck it on the back. And that's definitely right up good old Gronkowski's alley. But yeah, I was going to go with Deshaun Watson. And you've seen his post-game interviews, because of Tony Romo and everyone wants to flex their intelligence of football. And Deshaun Watson will basically, LeBron James does it with his post-game interviews, basically going step by step with every single play that happens. Deshaun Watson giving a 8-year-old kid a full-on master's thesis of a game plan or of just your first 11 plays that he's going to give, and give that to a kid, because nobody is going to have any idea what to do with it. It's too big. Cool, thanks, Deshaun. I'd rather just a picture of you scoring against Alabama than anything else. So yeah, completely useless. Thanks, I appreciate it. Hey, as you continue to play Pee Wee football, this is how you run this play. Yeah, no, it ain't gonna matter, dude.
Anybody else have any ideas? Anything they'd like to share?
I got nothing.
Yeah, I got nothing here either. I was gonna go weird with it, but I'm just gonna pass.
Good move. Right. I was gonna say children's gun, but
That's better than mine. I was gonna go Alex Smith's leg cast.
Ooh. Who's giving the children's gun though?
Yeah,
who's the one that's doing it?
Child, the children's gun.
Definitely a white player.
Go deep. Nope, not need to hear. What's it?
Yep. Just next.
I was thinking. Oh, we're not gonna answer that one. Okay, never mind.
Hey, no, I want to hear it now. If you have it locked and loaded.
I was thinking Gilbert Arenas.
Yep, Gilbert. Definitely.
Either him or Marvin Harrison. I could see either of those guys providing somebody with the children.
Sean has left the chat.
Aaron
Plexico Burress gives it to him. Make sure that he teaches kids how to use a safety. It'll be all right.
Yeah. All right, so the Chicago Bears drafted their 10th tight end onto their roster in the 3rd round of the NFL draft. That's right, 10 tight ends. So what is the craziest play you could run with 10 tight ends and a quarterback?
A little something I'd like to call the Miami Miracle.
I was going to go with that.
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, I was going to go with the annexation of Puerto Rico.
Yep. It's funny is if you didn't say it, I was about to. So that was, if not the annexation of Puerto Rico, kind of one of those, do you remember it was a Sunday night football game when the Patriots lined up, or it was the Colts, that they tried to do that one crazy punt and they had everyone lined up and it was just the long snapper and the punter. And the guy right behind, he's like, screw it, I'm just going to take it. And he ended up going absolutely nowhere. I think with 10 tight ends, you might try and do something for real like that. Just spread everybody out. They're good enough blockers and everybody can catch. So let's see what happens.
I think it'd be interesting to see if you can mess up the formation so you could get a receiving eligible center or something like that. Just play around with it a lot so the other team would actually have to think about it. Okay, who can actually catch the ball on this play and who's going to be a blocker?
87's eligible and he's on the far right side of the line, you're on the right hash and everyone's lined up left of the center, still having the accurate amount, still having the legal amount of players on the line, people in the backfield. And yeah, he snaps the ball and goes for a fade or goes for an out route, just completely screws with everybody. That'd be interesting.
Yeah, just everybody's, capable of blocking, everybody's capable of catching, just something. I'd like to see Charles Nagy put something together.
Yeah, that's a fair one.
Did I say Charles Nagy? Isn't that?
I think so.
From Cleveland.
It's all right. I said Trevor Diggs, who I still have no idea who the heck that is.
You said Trevor Diggs, the guy's name is Trayvon. So
yeah,
it's almost
All right. So our final news story: a bettor in Florida hit on 5 straight horse races on April 13th at Gulfstream Park. If you could pick the next 5 major sport champions and not be allowed to bet on them, so you get to pick who wins, or on the other side, you could pick the final 4 teams for each major sport championship, and you're allowed to bet on one of them, which would you choose?
This one's easy for me. Anything that has betting available is what I'm going to take.
Amen.
Because if I know some kind of information and I don't let a good friend of mine, shout out Brady, know about that, and he was able to bet on it, I will be hated for the rest of my life. So anything that can be bet on, I'm betting on it, especially if I have for sure information.
Okay.
Yeah, if we could break it down to the final 4 players, I think all of us in our lives have been able to look at a playoff field and get it down to at least the final 4. So if you're just telling me that you've got you got 2 games to pick in order to get a champion out of a final 4 set, I think it's worth taking a bet on that. Like if I'm allowed to bet on who the final 4 is and know who it's going to, like, what the outcome is going to be. Maybe I don't know the outcome, but still, I will have no monetary gain if I just say, hey, the next 5 years, these dudes are going to win. Like, I ain't getting anything out of it. So, it's cool for me to feel that way, but I'd rather absolutely, I'm definitely a same thing. If there's a gambling aspect to it, there's a good chance that I'm probably going to be about it. That's one of my personal, like, I don't know what you call it. We want to call it a negative, but that's something that you can get me on is gambling. So, yeah.
It's just a hobby. It's just a hobby.
Oh, yeah. Well,
Vice of choice.
Vice of choice. That's definitely one of my vices is gambling for sure. I enjoy myself. So, yeah, I would say having the ability to bet once you know who the final 4 is, like from that point.
What about you, T? Where are you going? Are you picking the final 4 and then betting for one of them? Or are you knowing the final 4 and then betting on one of them? Or are you picking the next 5 champions?
Well, I think I'm going to bet whatever happens anyway. I mean, unless I'm, like, obviously choosing the next major sports champions. I need to see my team win a Super Bowl, though, so I think I would just pick that winner. I would just take the win and be fine with that, especially with just, being able to watch, games with my grandpa still on, every Sunday. Haven't missed one in a really, really, really long time. I would just take the 5 major sports champions, and I would put every single one of them in the Bay Area or as close to the Bay Area as possible.
I like it. See, I'm not much of a gambler. Y'all know that already. But if it came down to me, I would absolutely pick the next 5 major sport champions, and I would get completely random with it. Sure, I'd mix in a Philly and a Miami. But I think I'd love to go ahead and pick, like, some random guy to win the Masters, or, like, some kid off the street to win the U.S. Open, something like that. Like, I think that could be really fun. So I think that's what I would go with.
Nice.
All right, well, that's our show for today. We're going to go ahead and wrap things up with our final sponsor. When you think of Atlanta Bread Company, don't just think bread. Think of an entire breakfast menu, fresh baked pastries, hot breakfast sandwiches, and specialty coffees. Think of our cafe with savory sandwiches, daily soups, and crisp salads. And don't forget, we can cater your next special event or meeting. Atlanta Bread Company, more than just bread. That's our show for this week. Thanks again, and sorry to anybody we offended.
Have a good one.
Bye.